Hey there, geeks! We are back with another Wizards Rewind. Yes, we are ready to review some new comics. What? An old comics podcast talking about new comics? It's true. It's what we're doing these days, pulling me out of the back issue bins and onto the new release shelves. I'm Adam.
And I'm Mike.
And so, yesterday we went to the stores, Wednesday, new comic book day. Of course, I was there to pick up a copy of Armored by Michael Schwartz. Who
Oh
is
my
this guy?
God.
He writes a good comic, I'll tell you that much.
I think we should do a review of that, Adam. Let's do it right now.
It wouldn't
It
be
was
biased at all.
terrible.
So, Mike, yeah, you did have a very exciting day. Just what was the highlight for you? Because I know you were hearing from around the world people that were checking it out.
Okay, well, you know, I found out earlier in the week that only one distributor was getting it to store shelves and the other one had a later release date. And so most of the Canadian shops I had spoken to said they didn't get it in. So I literally just ended up doing some gardening. I mowed the lawn. I kind of just was like, it's just a regular old day. But then I got back inside in the afternoon and I had a few people say, oh, my shop sold out. They had to reorder. I had another shop actually outside of Toronto tell me that they sold out. They had to reorder. So it was pretty exciting. It was weird being tagged, by people, and I love it. So people do it. By people I don't know, just saying, "Hey, I grabbed your book. It looks cool." Like that was exciting. I'm
Yeah,
excited that people are reading it, Adam.
that's the thing. Like I saw there were YouTube videos of people reviewing it. You got named by some like blogs and podcasts and websites like the book of the week. They chose Armored.
Yeah, yeah, a store again, way outside of Toronto. They're an Eisner Award-winning store called The Dragon. I've been in once or twice. I don't know the owners or anything, but they called Armored the book of the week. Blew me away. Blew me away. I've been asked to be on podcasts next week that aren't wizards.
Always welcome here, of course.
Of
Oh,
course,
but
yeah.
congratulations, Mike. I mean, it's just great. Yeah, I know you've been waiting for 2 years to get feedback on this, and it's coming in
Yeah,
great. People are loving it. So,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, now we're gonna have to give some feedback to the big two this time around. That's right. We have some Marvel versus DC action here happening on our Wednesday rewind. Because as it goes these days, this is how it works. We put it up on social media. You guys vote on what two new release books you want us to read and give our thoughts on. And the first one that came up here, hey, it's at the beginning of the list. It's Action Comics. Now, this is Action Comics number 1065. Mike, do you remember what you said is this was nearing the finish line and winning the poll?
No, I don't remember, and maybe you shouldn't say it.
Well, you
Okay.
just said, "Oh, I hope Action Comics doesn't win. I shouldn't have put it on the list. I haven't read Superman comics in years."
It wasn't years. I read Superman, the Joshua Williamson Superman issues 1 through 6, and then I had to cut back on my pull list. But it felt like it had been a while, and I didn't.
Well, and
Anyways,
that's the thing here. So, like, I also obviously am not reading new comics, but I saw, the '90s Superboy in a leather jacket on the cover. Of course, like I didn't read like Final Crisis or any of the Crisis stuff, so I don't know he's Connor Kent now. Like, that's not how he registers in my mind. I didn't read the Titans run or whatever was going on there, right? So
you're missing so many good
I know
stories,
I
Adam.
missed this resurgence, I guess, of the character. But plus, there's Supergirl, and I'm wondering, okay, what Supergirl is this? What is her origin these days? There's been so many iterations of Supergirl over the years, and so this is the beginning of the House of Brainiac event. My store actually had a poster up in its window
Oh,
for House of Brainiac advertising this, and so and obviously on the cover there we're seeing there's a bunch of brainiacs, looks like from all different timelines and all things like that. It reminds me very much of that, if you remember during Zero Hour, there's that cover of Superman surrounded by Batman, but it's
yes, yeah.
Batman from every timeline and era. And like that's why I was like, oh, okay, so this is a throwback maybe to Zero Hour. So what were your initial thoughts? Again, being a little bit outside of the Superman stories these days, what was your initial reaction?
Okay, I'm really bad because when I found out it was one of the winners for us to talk about, I found out my shop had all three parts. So I just went for it. I went and grabbed all three.
By the way, can I
Um,
say bravo to DC for creating an event that only takes place in 3 issues, at least
yes.
as part of the event. I was just like, thank you.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying, like, usually when there's an event and they give it a name, it feels like it's like a sprawling thing and it's going to affect every book and you got to buy all these
Oh yeah,
tie-ins.
yeah, yeah.
This is three Superman titles, and then you're done with this storyline,
Well,
right?
so I picked up, maybe I'm missing some. I think there was okay, so I've picked up Action Comics 1064. That's where it starts.
Okay.
Then I picked up Superman 13. Again, I don't have it here. It's still upstairs next to my bed. And I picked up 1065, which was the winner.
Oh yeah,
Because
you're
there
right. You're right. Yeah. So it does have a few tie-ins.
it has a few, yeah.
Okay, so maybe this is like when I saw three, I was like, oh, 3 issue. No, it was 3 months, a 3 month
Yeah.
epic, but
There
still that's
there
short by
there's
some
a there's a
timelines.
House of Brainiac special I did not grab, and I think there's must be a tie-in to Green Lantern, maybe? I don't even know. Um, I'll have to check. I haven't read
Yeah, it
Green
says Green
Lantern yet.
Lantern 11. Yeah.
Yeah, which I haven't read yet. I picked that one up as well, which is such a good series, Adam.
Oh,
Such a good series.
put it on the
So good.
list.
Um, um, so I kind of cheated because I ended up starting at number one. I started from there. Did you read just issue three?
Yeah, I read just this
Okay.
1065 Action Comics,
I
so
want
obviously I'm a little lost.
yeah, I want your opinion first, and then I'll give mine.
Okay. Well, the first thing that got me here that really caught my attention was okay, Supergirl and Superboy are tiny because they were in, I don't know if it was Kandor officially, but they talk about a bottle city that they were inside, so they got shrunk down. They came out, they have their powers, but not their size. They didn't grow back to normal size. So I just thought that was a funny conceit. And then they're like, you see, Brainiac has these machinations going on with Luther, and by the way, Luther is like the Wolverine of DC villains. He's just in every comic all the time. He's just gonna pop up, it seems like, in DC. It's just like Luther is behind anything that is happening in the DC universe. um but yeah, I was interested there just a little bit, but again I was just like, oh, okay, so where are they coming from these days? What is Connor Kent up to? What is this Supergirl up to? But then when I saw that Brainiac says, well, I pulled in all these other Brainiacs, from various realities, and then I started realizing I'm in multiverse fatigue. I I like a multiverse story where it's like, oh, this character and this very different character, but they're from different universes meet. I don't like, hey, how about 20 versions of me? Because I'm so great and I want to meet all the other versions of me, and we're a team of me's. Like, it's so self-centered for the heroes now. Like, Spider-Verse has ruined this idea of a multiverse because, like, no, it's not a multiverse of worlds and interesting people coming together. It's just a multiverse of a single individual and variations on that individual. And I'm realizing, stop it. I know every comic book like era kind of has its thing, and we're in the multiverse era right now, but that really kind of annoyed me. So that was my initial thought there. And then ultimately, there's some cool art in this. Like, I really liked some of, like, in fact, it felt very 90s. It felt very Image, some of
Yes.
the poses in this book. And like this one
There's
is
like a
right here.
Liefeld. That's the one. That's like right out of a Liefeld book,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
that was
good.
funny just to see that. But yeah, overall, to me, like, it felt um like that side of the story, I was just like, okay, I'm kind of lost here. But then this idea of like Superman has teamed up with Lobo because Brainiac is hiring all these Zardians. And I was very happy that it wasn't a multiverse of Lobos. It's just other people from his
Yeah.
race, his planet. And I was just like, okay, there's a gang of Zarnians, and they are trying to convince Lobo now. They're like, "Oh, you want to be the main man? You want to be the big boss? Can you show us that you're the guy who's gonna take over my gang? Well, you gotta fight Superman and show us that you're the toughest guy." And I was just like, so this all is set up to this brawl, and I thought that was funny. It was just also fun to see Lobo. I didn't think he was as outrageous and edgy as he was in the 90s. Like they used a few little, phrases here and there, but overall I felt like he was a little toned down. But I just thought it was so funny that this is all leading up to Superman versus Lobo, because it just took me back to that Superman Lobo like war battle, if you will, that
Yeah.
had all like the color forms that you could put on the cover of the comic. I was just like, they're doing this again. Although I'm sure they have fought many, many times, Superman versus Lobo, over the last 30 years. But anyway,
Yeah.
those were my thoughts.
Well, it sounds like it's kind of mixed for you. I have to say, as much as I didn't want to read this, and I know you were hoping I would not, it's finally a book Mike doesn't like. But I think because, I read Superman 1 through 6, I guess it was months ago at this point. And then I read House of Brainiac 1 through 3. I really, really love this, Adam. It reminded me of like kind of early 2000s Superman that I was reading. Um, I don't know, there's something about it. I felt nostalgia, like it just got me. So just to bring you up to speed, I think it's Superman 1 by Joshua Williamson. And again, I hope that's the writer's name. I'm pretty sure it is. They start that series with Lex Luthor creating like a super corpse to work with Superman. That's kind of like how we've started off. And so this House of Brainiac kind of introduces this idea that Lex Luthor they've planted seeds that he may have been aware that this was going to happen, that Brainiac was going to come and invade Earth. I
Yeah,
have
so
all
Supergirl says, like, you were working with my cousin and you betrayed
yes,
him. And then Luther's just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't understand what I'm doing here. And you're just like, oh,
yes.
okay.
So there's a little mystery with that, which is kind of neat. So the first part of this House of Brainiac starts off great. It's just Lois just enjoying. She's running through New York or Metropolis, saying like hi to every character in the Superman universe. You're seeing all of his villains are all trapped, and it's so light and so just kind of fun. And then all of a sudden, it's like an attack on Earth, and they don't know where Lobo is. And I have to say, like, of the 3 parts, part 3 is the weakest
Oh,
part
no.
because it does feel like we're in the middle of the story now. Like, we're in act 2 of the story, so you're missing the best parts, Adam. In issue 3 or part 2 of the story, if you like the art, I thought the art was so awesome in the Superman, issue 13.
Hmm.
It has some great art. Like I really think this is a series that benefits from reading every part. You can't just pick up a random middle issue like unfortunately you had to do. And I
I
would have
will
had
say
to
this, they had a lot like at my store, they put all the previous issues behind,
oh
on the rack, so they have like all the stuff, so I could probably go catch up because it seemed like not a lot of people bought it.
yeah, I wonder how well it's doing. I think it's a cool premise. There's one panel, I think it's in issue 3. You have it next to you. Where it's all the Brainiacs and they've like turned to see Connor and Supergirl coming at them, and it's just cool seeing those various the iterations of Brainiac. I love variations on characters. Are they really from the multiverse? I don't know. I feel like there's got to be more to the story than that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's just like I feel like I've seen it so much, and I think maybe it's just a reflection of like our, because that's what comics are. Like they reflect the society in which the stories are being told, and we live in like the YouTube generation where it's just like, look at me. What if I could have a thousand me's liking and subscribing to my channel? It's all about me. Whereas I feel like the older style of storytelling was like, let's get to know these other creatures from other worlds, like kind of a Star Trek model. Let's understand these other people, and then let's team up with them, or let's come to an understanding through a misunderstanding at first or whatever. And I feel like now it's just kind of like, I'm great, I could do this and more of me, please. Like that's what the multiverse feels like to me. So But overall, it
Okay.
was interesting. We should mention there's also a backup story. I know last time you said
Yeah.
you're not like you don't need the backup stories you feel like, but it was like Vril Drox, who's like the Legionnaires version of Brainiac, and they see he's like, you were always so emotional because Brainiac's talking to him like a father, and then he says something about like there's a hole in my memory or there's something I can't understand. And he's like, I've never heard you talk like that, father. And so like there's something going on, but it was way more like relaxed than I was expecting a Brainiac talks to his son conversation to be. You know what I'm saying? Like they felt human where I thought it was going to be very like stoic. So
Also, the art in that backup story, I usually skip the backup stories, but the art was so cool. It's very dark,
very moody. Yeah.
very moody.
It
I
reminded
was
me of
like,
Earth X art a lot, actually.
yeah, very, very
Yeah.
similar. But I feel like you're seeing two different kinds of art right now. You're seeing like a Dan Mora type art style. Like I think Action Comics has kind of his style, or what's his name? The guy that does Batman. And then you're seeing a an art style that, like, have you seen the new Transformers? You read Energon,
Yeah.
like that kind of art style. We're getting those kinds, a lot of that right now, which is interesting, and we'll talk more about that when we get to Doom as well.
Yeah.
But that last page of that backup story, Brainiac's mom, we've
I was
never
just like,
met her before, right? Is she a
never,
new?
never heard of yeah, that this is interesting. Is this a new character? Yeah.
Yeah, I love I eat that shit up, Adam. So I'm kind of looking forward to part four. I think this review backfired on you a bit.
I think so, and I think you're right. Like last time I got lucky, I felt like with Batman, where I jumped in on a point where a bunch of stuff is
Yeah,
finally happening, and you said, I'm kind of tired because it's been going on for a year. Whereas here I hit it in the doldrum and I missed the cool stuff. Because obviously next issue is going to be a big fight that's supposed to be
yeah,
fun. And
yeah.
the build-up before was more
I
interesting.
almost think Superman 11 would have been better for you to jump into because that's where he goes to recruit Lobo.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you
Oh
teased
wait,
it here.
final.
Oh,
Let's give a final rating. Let's
you
try
want
to
to give
give
a
a rating.
rating? Okay.
Let's see. Like, what would you if uh, let's think of it on its own. Like
Yeah.
you're reading it on its own. I would not recommend just picking up this issue by itself, unless you're like, oh, I want the first appearance of Brainiac, Mom Brainiac,
Yeah,
Momaniac.
it was slightly unsatisfying. That's just what I'll say
Yeah,
because it did feel like the middle of a story, you know? So like if I was saying like would I read more based on this? I'm not inspired to other than to hear your suggestion and review that oh, well you just missed out. But like if I had no guidance, I just say oh well Superboy's on this. Let me read this, you know? And I was like
yeah,
I'm not they didn't pull me in. They didn't explain enough. Yeah.
yeah. I would only give it like a 5 on its own, but like it's a for other reasons, I would give it higher, like an 8. Like I think there's some cool art. I love the introduction of Brainiac's mom. And yeah, I think if it as part of a series, it's great. I think it's like an 8 or at least a 7.5. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move into the one that when we were messaging, you were like, "Oh, I can't wait for this book." And I said, "Well, that makes one of us." I was not thrilled about Doom #1. Okay. Now, I did see in here when I was opening it up that there are variant covers for this. And
Yeah.
I'd like Addie Granov, Greg and Tim Hildebrand, George Perez. Like, I was like, how did they get how long have they been working on this? Or did they pull in other people's art from the past and do a collage? Because I didn't see a variant cover in my
Okay.
shop.
Okay, so I pre-ordered this from an online store because I wanted Addy what's his name?
Uh-huh,
Granov?
Granov, yep.
Granov's. I wanted his cover. So I pre-ordered it from my friend's store. And so I had to end up buying a digital download of this, Adam, just because I knew I have that one coming eventually. His cover is unreal. It looks like a photo. When you see it, Google it because at first I was like, it's a cosplay cover, and then I realized it was a painting. It's unbelievable. So that's the one I pre-ordered. Um, The Hildebrandt cover is from Marvel Masterpieces. What is it? Series 3?
That's what I was gonna ask
Yeah.
because it sounded like, yeah, because they did that
They're
whole thing.
they're doing Hildebrandt variant covers from that card
Yeah,
line.
I was gonna say because one of them is no longer alive. I know, so it's just like,
And
when
I
did they
think that
collaborate on this?
the Perez cover must be
Yeah,
just a reused. Uh, so what do you know about this? Like, so just so you know, I'm gonna tell you this before you go into your opinion on it,
yeah.
and I give mine. People are calling this a contender for best book of the year. Like better than Armored, better than the Transformers. Like they are, this is just so you know, I'm seeing a lot of people. This is getting buzz. So tell me what you think. Actually, we should give a little synopsis. It's basically feels like an Elseworld story about the whole Marvel universe has been destroyed to a degree, except for Valeria Richards and Doom,
Right. So
and
I was
she.
trying to figure out because there was no footnote, like in a classic Marvel comic
No,
style, to say previously during this event or this mini series or whatever, Doom got destroyed because he decided to go up against Galactus in a giant Doom mech suit. And it was just like, what? Like I didn't hear it. It's like, do I need to like do some research online? Like, so to your knowledge, there's no actual backstory to this before what they're telling us here.
I have done no research on this comic other than
Okay.
I've seen it making like top 10 lists and best of week lists.
Okay, because it's literally like you said, they draw every single Marvel Comics character in this issue. They do these two-page spreads where
Yeah.
it's like everybody coming after Galactus, and then it tells us, yeah, but he killed everybody, and the only people left are Valeria and Doom, and you're just like, what in the world? And so Valeria basically is rescuing like Doom is all like scarred up, like for real, he needs the armor now. She's pulling him out from outer space where his mech was destroyed. And he was just floating there, and Galactus has taken off. And they have this conversation. She's calling him Uncle Doom, which again, I'm like, wait, is Doom a good guy now? I know somebody's mentioned a while ago, like he was Sorcerer Supreme, or there was a white like Doom and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what? I don't know where he is at in the world of Marvel Comics these days. So that kind of threw me. But also Valeria, like I was just like, again, is she established in another story? Like I'm sure some I know who she is in the continuity. I've heard of her, but I'm just like, is she established in a separate storyline somewhere else? That's another question I
Oh
have.
yeah, yeah, she is. I think she was even in there was like a Fantastic Four X-Men series. So I'm
Okay.
pretty sure she was like with Doom. It's very fuzzy for me what
Yeah.
happened. Um
But the art, like, let's just start there. The art is very like it's very stylized, but very like dynamic and very fun. I love the coloring in this book. I think it just visually it's very dazzling. So shout out to
he's
Sanford Green for the
Sanford
art
Green.
here.
Yeah,
Have you
he
seen his
is.
stuff before? I've never heard of him.
I'm not that familiar, but I posted about this issue on Facebook, and I had Facebook friends being like, "Whoa, he's teaming up with Jonathan Hickman!" Like they were super excited. So I'm not familiar, but I agree with you. It's very dynamic. It reminds me of the Transformers artist. Again, I'm so bad with names. Please forgive me, anyone that's watching. Like I get similar vibes. The dynamics, the action it looks great. It's really
Yeah.
stylized. Yeah.
Now, the premise, everything this says it's a double-sized, king-sized issue thing, right? Like that giant-sized promise of a story, but it really is telling like a little origin, just like giving you like here's the precursor to what's to come, very much like Action Comics 1065, which is okay, Doom's destroyed, Valeria has rescued him, she's built him new armor out of Uru metal and vibranium. She's giving him super soldier serum so he could then ingest also like the blood of a celestial. So he needs the super soldier serum so that won't kill him. And then his armor also has 3 cosmic cubes inserted into it. I'm okay. This is OP. That's my child would say. My oldest is always like, that's totally OP, Dad. I'm like, I know,
What's OP?
overpowered. So
Oh,
he's just like, Doom is overpowered in this situation. And you realize, okay, Galactus got real hungry and he got tired of waiting for dinner time. And he decided he's just going to go to the fast food drive through basically. And he's hitting up every restaurant. He's eating the entire universe. He's just hungry and he's crazed. And he's literally flying through the galaxies like Superman. Like it's hilarious how they show this giant Galactus zooming through the cosmos, right? And then Doom is realizing, oh, so he's going to destroy everything. He's tired of waiting for the universe to reset itself. He's eternal. He'll be there forever, but he wants to be a catalyst now. And so basically we have to stop him. So Valeria help me get overpowered. So I have the power of a god. We've seen him take, you know, the power from the Beyonder in the past. So that felt a little bit like, okay, I've seen it. I'm less excited about this. Then there's a new armor design. So let's talk about that real quick, Mike. I want to get your take here because Doom now has like this. I don't know if it's supposed to be black and it's just shaded in purple or the opposite. And then he has like these 3 cosmic cube circles that kind of look like a Thor costume or something on his chest. And then instead of his classic green hood, now it's like glowing like kind of
yeah.
white with a green tint and it's like laser cape, is what he has. And it's just like, okay, but not dynamic to me at all. I hate this design. I was just like, he looks like nothing. There's just,
Oh,
it doesn't pull me in at all. It's just like a shape. And so I immediately
yeah.
was just like, you're giving us new Doom, but I don't care.
I think it was the face that threw me off. I didn't like the mask on it. I didn't mind this thing, the like glowing cape. It was the mask that there's something off about it. Like his mouth always being open. I know his mask is already like that, but it just didn't
Yeah.
work. I'm like on the fence. I'd like to see a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my opinion on it. But
Okay.
uh,
And then so the other thing that happens, because really, like it said, like half the book is the setup for Galactus destroying every hero in the galaxy. And then there's the story of Doom getting his costume and getting more energy. So not only does he have all everything that Valeria created for him, now it seems like he's going to collect more power and we get more multiverse because there is a trio of molecule men that he confronts. And the thing that threw me off for this, because like the Molecule Man, I remember from the Secret Wars, Maxi series, he could do anything. He could turn the air into concrete. Like he could do anything. And he and Doom are fighting. And he is not a brawler. Molecule Man, the 3 of them come in, they're looking all tough and angry. I'm like, Molecule Man is like a wuss. Like he doesn't, maybe he has changed over 40 years, but he's not looking for a fight. And so like they're just shooting laser blasts from their hands at each other for several pages. I'm like, there's no creativity in this fight. He could do anything and he literally does nothing. Energy blasts, and then Doom uses some sort of magic spell and absorbs the molecule men into himself, is what I took for what was happening. There was not an explanation.
I
So,
don't know. I get so bored by action sometimes that I kind of just like
yeah, it was just like we have to
go.
have
Yeah.
big action, but it means nothing and it's not exciting me. And then I said to myself, okay, so he's got all this power. He like, what does it mean to him? Well, if you read what Hickman is writing here, it's all, thought boxes, it's all Doom and like Valerian, like just being philosophical during a brawl.
Yeah.
It's so I don't like it. I do not.
Well, don't forget, he wrote this down, his last will and testament prior to his battle. I don't know where he left it. I
Yeah.
don't I think what this issue is if you like, cool dynamic art and you like kind of, flowery, beautiful written prose, I think this is your comic. Like it has moments of like Tom King style writing to me in it where it feels like very prose heavy. Like there's no real story.
No,
A tale is told, but there's no story that really happens. It's, hey Doom, we found you, get you some new armor, you're going into battle, and then it says end at the very end of the comic. That's not a story.
no.
It's really a moment with a small tale as to how we came to this moment. So I'm personally, it's not my cup of tea at all. There's so much I like about the issue, but I don't I want a story. If you're gonna, if you're
Well, so
gonna
this was
fail
my
this.
criticism, right, of Hickman. I said, and we haven't reviewed this on the show, but I bought issue 4 of Ultimate Spider-Man because I'm just like, everything is so decompressed. I'll give it one more chance. I bought it. It's a Spider-Man comic with no Spider-Man. It's two couples sitting at dinner talking for the entire issue, and I was just like, shame on you, Jonathan Hickman, for dragging us out and wasting our time, $5 for this. But then I pick up this and I'm like, okay, a little decompression could have helped. This could have at least been 2 issues because it happens too fast. It's just like Valeria's a super genius. She can create all these things. Where did they get the Uru metal? Where did they get the vibranium? Where did she get the celestial blood? How did she manufacture the super soldier serum? Like all of that. There's stories to be told about every single one of those. And maybe you could have had a whole issue about the journey of collecting the elements to create Doom's armor, all that kind of stuff. And it just exists. And I was like, it's so cheap. I don't like
See,
that.
I don't mind that that's hinted on. I wanted more story though. Like there's not like I don't know what the characters like need. It's just the universe is ending. How can I relate? What's the point, Adam? Like why are we seeing this? And then it says end. Did we even see him defeat Galactus in the end?
No, it's again, it's just like the end of
It's
Action
just
Comics 1065. It's get ready for the fight. We're
but
about to fight.
what's the next part? Like I don't remember there's
Well, he's gonna
nothing.
fight Galactus. He's gonna have a
I know, but
knockdown, drag out
where?
brawl.
What comic?
Well, you don't think there's a follow-up to this? It's Doom number 1. You don't think there's gonna be a Doom number 2?
It Go to the last page.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, it does say end. So you
that's
really think
it.
this is just a one-off
It's
issue?
it's a one-off issue, I think.
What? What in the world? If that's true, then
You don't write end on a cliffhanger.
I guess. I mean, it's
I
just
think
like,
that's it, and I think maybe it'll be picked up somewhere else. They do these timeless books
okay.
every year now, and it's a one shot. It kind of previews what's to come in Marvel. And I think this year's had Sorcerer Supreme Doom on the cover. That's the one I bought. I never read it though. And I do wonder if it's that there's like a link there, maybe between the
Well,
two.
the other thing is too, can we read the tea leaves here? Because this is like I have friends who are super into like MCU spoilers and everything else.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four the movie is on the way, right? Are they trying to set up something here that they're going to use in the movie and they just want it published to say there is precedent for this for
Maybe.
Doom to get this whole outfit? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's something that's happening. Maybe they're saying there's going to be a showdown and Doom is going to save the day at the end of a Fantastic Four movie and fight Galactus with the Fantastic Four. I don't know, but like it seems like if it really is just a single issue to get people excited, like I don't know, like that blows my mind. I didn't even consider that. I'm like, no, this is an ongoing because it was so tiny in the corner. I didn't see the end. So
Oh, all right. Well, that's it.
according to you, that's it. All right. So
That's it.
let's just say our review of this, if there was a second issue, I don't think I'd pick it up. I don't need to see the fight between Lobo and Superman, and I don't need to see the fight between Doom and Galactus. Neither interests me. I don't need a fight. I
Yeah, I
want
don't
I
need
want
another
struggle and
issue.
I want cleverness, but I don't want to fight. I want a heist or something. I don't want just bare knuckle galactic brawl.
Yeah, I don't need that either.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I'd give it a 6 for the visuals, but the storytelling gets a 2. I'm just
Oh,
like,
visuals, I'd give like an 8 or 9, and the story, yeah. The prose was nice. I thought the writing was really good. It's like I can't write this well.
yeah. Well,
Anyways, yeah.
That's where we're at. Let's see what comes out next week. So that means go check out our social media. Look for your chance to vote in our poll. There will be 4 different issues to choose from. So find us at Wizards Comics on all the socials. On Instagram, we're at Wizards Comics. If you want to hear us talk about the 90s and all the comics that were happening there, we have over 270 episodes in our archives at wizardscomics.com or on your favorite podcast app. You can just search Wizards, the podcast guide to comics. But stay subscribed here on YouTube because we will be back with more than just new comic book reviews. We have haul videos. We opened old trading card packs from the 90s based on superheroes and comic books. So much more for you to enjoy here. But until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.